Hey, was it just me, or did anyone else have trouble with your WSL fantasy picks? Did you get locked out too soon? Well, we'll get into that and talk about the long rights at Punta Roca. Hey everyone, I'm Old Surf Dad, and in this El Salvador preview, we're going to check out the swell forecast for Surf City, then take a look at some key stats and jump into an interview in the Old Surf database. And finally, I'm going to make my men's and women's fantasy picks. But first, let's check in with our Fantasy Surf League. Now, as I mentioned at the top, there were a lot of challenges with the WSL Fantasy League during the G-Land event. I sent a letter to the WSL that you can see on the homepage at oldsurfdad.com. I've been told it has been forwarded to the product team, and hopefully we can get some improvements in future events. All right, moving on to our Fantasy League results. For the Quicksilver Roxy G-Land Pro, let's congratulate Ricardo Hibon for the G-Land Pro win. He's joined by our list of event champions in the Hall of Fame at oldsurfdad.com. Just the Tip is back at number 2, just 7 points shy of victory. Surf Forever comes in at number 3, Sarong in the 4th position, and Joho Lo rounds out the top 5. Congratulations, everyone. Now let's look at the overall rankings following the G-Land Pro event. Just the Tip sits atop our leaderboard and ranked 27th in the world. Close behind is Griffin Not Colapinto at the number 2 position, followed by Madeirans at number 3. Kep's still solid at number 4, and finally, event winner Ricardo Hibon is number 5. By the way, everyone on the list is in the top 100 in the world. If you want to join our league, just go to oldsurfdad.com for more details. Okay, moving on to the Surf City forecast for El Salvador. Check it out. As you can see on this graph, May and June are some of the best months for waves in El Salvador, and it looks like there's a swell coming a few days into the waiting period, which starts on June 12th. It is forecasted to be small at first, but then steadily picks up on June 14th, 15th, and 16th, when several lows in the Pacific are expected to develop and potentially merge. The report is showing double overhead waves for those days, and it looks like we'll see heats in the water and a possible finals day all within that window. Weather models show some disagreement on the conditions, however, and there's possibly a tropical depression that could adversely affect the winds. But for now, they look to be good with light and variable winds forecasted during the swell. I'll probably upload a follow-up surf forecast video like I did for G-Land using a 1-minute short, so subscribe if you want to get that update. All right, time to look at some key stats and learn more about the wave in El Salvador. Now, I've never been to El Salvador, and after talking to Tyler in this interview excerpt you're about to see, I feel like I've missed out. By the way, I highly recommend you check out the complete interview up here or find the link in the description below to learn more about this wave-rich and beautiful country. All right, roll tape. I keep hearing people talk about Surf City. What is that?
Yeah, so I mean, Surf City is their kind of promotional name for the area between Puerto La Libertad and El Zonte, which the most similar thing that I could compare that to is like the 7 Mile Miracle on the North Shore, whereas this area just faces straight south, picks up absolutely any south bump in the water, and there's 14 right-hand points and 3 rivermouth A-frames in the area.
Where's the WSL going to hold the event, and what is that wave like?
So the WSL is at Punta Chilama, which is also known as Punta Roca. And that is, the wave itself is most similar to, I would compare it to like J Bay or Rincon in Santa Barbara. It's a fast, high performance right-hand point break over big boulders. It's the premier wave in Central America. It's very good.
What do you think the WSL competitors are going to do on that wave?
Yeah, when it's doing its thing, it's take off straight into a tube. And so if it's working while they're there, and it's likely looking that way based on the forecast right now, you're going to see some, especially the regular footers pulling right in at takeoff, coming out, smacking the lip a few times and pulling back into the second section. right now we're at the very beginning of the hot rainy season. So we're going to have some days that get rained out probably or stormed out. We're also going to have some, post-storm glass and perfect conditions. We've actually had an unusually calm year so far as wind. We typically have that diurnal surf pattern where you get the morning offshore and then some light winds by 9 a.m. and then it's blown out in the afternoon, and we might get a glass off in the evening. That's pretty typical. But even that's been pretty well behaved this year, and we've had some days with all day glass. And then, of course, during the rainy season, like I said, we're at the beginning of the rainy season. One day could be kind of stormy, and then it could be clean for 2 or 3 days straight.
Since El Salvador is making its debut on the World Championship Tour, we have no WSL Pass results. However, we have the next best thing. Did y'all remember Barra from last year? Well, if you recall, Jack Robinson and Stephanie Gilmore won that event and looked to be favorites, again, coming into El Salvador. Other notable performances from the current draw on the men's side is Gabriel Medina, who lost in the quarters to an informed David Silva, and Idolo Ferreira, who got out-aired and upset by wildcard Mateus Herde. As I make this video, John announced that he'd be out due to another torn MCL, which leaves the possibility that CS ratings leader and Barra semifinalist Leonardo Fioravante could get the call up. On the women's side, all the usual suspects made the quarters, including Joanne Defay, Courtney Conologue, Isabella Nichols, Carissa Moore, Tatiana, and Stephanie Gilmore. Of those, only Carissa Moore and Steph Gilmore made the semifinals, and Steph beat Carissa to eventually win the event, defeating Malia Manuel. Although the ISA games were not held at Punta Roca, but up the coast at El Sanzal and La Bocana, you have to think surfers with results know these waters, and they include Idolo Ferreira, who won ISA Gold in 2019, with Kolohe winning silver and Gabriel Medina winning bronze. Most recently in 2021, Kanoa won in El Salvador with an ISA silver medal. So what do the Australian odds makers think? Here's the top 5 favorites headed into Surf City, with Gabriel Medina and Felipe Toledo most favored to win in the men's, and Carissa and Tyler most favored in the women's. To see the complete list, just go to oldsurfdad.com. Alrighty, I'm ready to move on to some men's and women's fantasy picks. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that each event is worth 10% more points than the last, so the current multiplier is 1.6 for El Salvador. All right, starting in the women's Tier A, with her win at G-Land, Joanne Defay is now a Tier A pick and 3rd in the world rankings. Big congratulations to her, and if you watched my last video, I was big on Joanne. I just wasn't brave enough to make her my power surfer. Now she's in Tier A, and I don't know if she holds the same advantage in El Salvador's rights. Carissa will be strong here, but I'm stubbornly hanging on to Carissa and will make her my Tier A pick, but I'm not making her my power surfer. Well, not yet anyway. In the women's Tier B is where I'm going to get my power surfer. I'm taking Stephanie Gilmore because I think she has one more magic run, and hell, it's a right point break. Is there anything better than watching her surf a long, clean right? The answer is no. No, there isn't. My other pick was going to be Tyler Wright, but it looks like she hasn't cleared COVID protocols, so I'll take Tatiana Weston Webb because her stats are the next best in line. In Tier C, Gabrielle O'Brien is a bargain and a great choice for Punta Roca. She's definitely my pick. It looks like Caroline Marks is back to the WCT in El Salvador. She's super talented and an interesting choice, but I'm just not ready to take that risk without seeing her surf. I'm going to keep an eye on her and the rest of Tier C for reselects, but I really like Gabrielle O'Brien here. We carry on to the men's picks. In men's Tier A, it's so hard to pick from this accomplished group, so allow me to distract myself for a moment with John Florence. This will be the 4th time in a row he hasn't completed a season, and his chances of making the top 5 are in serious jeopardy. Seeing him put on that knee brace in G-Land was disheartening. It's hard to believe he's 29 already. I feel like I was just shooting pics of him at AUK yesterday. But the facts are that he has had ankle injuries, a broken back, and more recently, ACL and MCL tears in both his knees, and now another one. When John is injury-free, he's probably the best surfer in the world. We saw that at the beginning of the year in Hawaii, especially at Haleiwa. He's trained really hard to come back, and I hope this setback is temporary. But the cold, hard facts are that competing and doing airs aren't helping him heal, and his career may be shorter than we all want it to be. Oh yeah, so what's my pick? I'm taking ultra-consistent world number 1 Felipe Toledo, and I'm making him my power surfer. Now, I believe in the Jack Robinson hype, and it's getting hard to argue against him being the best surfer in the world based on who he's beaten in the last 2 events. But I'm going to take Ethan Ewing with my second pick and let Jack have a cool-down period. Don't worry, Jack. I'll pick you up around JB and Chopes if that's cool with you. Okay, now the avalanche of talent in Tier B. My 4 surfers will be Griffin, because this place is kind of like Trestles. Baron Mamiya, because I know he has greatness and I just can't let it go. Chloe Andino, because he can't underachieve at every event. And Chloe, that's meant to be motivational. And Samuel Pupo, because it's not just luck that he's doing so well. He seems to progress after every heat. Hopefully, I can reselect these guys and not get locked out. Yo, Tier C is crazy, like a whole lot of crazy. Someone please go full Jaddy and Carlos Munoz for the 2 guys that could catch fire and win or flame out in the first round. I love what the Aussies call their mongrel, their passion. I really want to see Carlos at full speed. This guy will surprise you. Now, let's talk about Gabriel Medina. I know in G-Land that he was in Tier B for some of us and Tier C for others. Believe me, the WSL is well aware, and I don't think they'll make that mistake again, but who knows? Personally, I think Gabby should be in his own tier, maybe called Tier G, and you have a choice. You either pick him or you lose. I'll take him, and I'll add Yagadora because he looked on point in G-Land. There they are, the best Surf City picks in the world. Well, for me anyway. How about you? Who are your power surfers? Where am I completely wrong, and where did I get it right? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll discuss. All right, next up, my survival pick. All right, so let's talk survival. So far, I've picked what I thought were the favorites at each event, and I'm starting to thin on survival picks. But there's a top 5 surfer I'm going to take on a right-hand point, and that's Ethan Ewing. Let's hope he can continue my streak at Punta Roca. Only 17% of the survival league is left, and I'm still alive. Let's go, baby. Hey, if you got something out of this video, give it a like. It really helps the channel. Also, if there's something else you'd like to see in these previews, let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you're not subscribed, feel free to join us. It doesn't cost anything. Thanks to all of you who are subscribed. I really appreciate it. Hey, and if you haven't seen the full interview with Tyler from One Wave Surf House, you'll learn a lot more about El Salvador, and you can find the link in the description below. All right, good luck with your fantasy team, and thanks again for watching.